Welcome to today's live webinar. We are covering ebooks, audiobooks, and magazines. My name is Rebecca Van Dusen. I am a library associate at the Champaign Public Library. If you've attended any tech workshops in person or via Zoom, you've probably seen me before helping with those. I also occasionally will teach a class. And I do work at the information desk on the second floor too. So before I introduce Susan Winkler, our technology librarian, I'd like to also mention that we have a library practicum student joining us from the University of Illinois iSchool. Gabby Borders is our student, and she will help us teach part of the class today. So please welcome her kindly. I also want to mention we are open to the public for normal hours. But if you don't want to come in, you can always call us or email us if you have questions, or you can chat with us through our website. We are also continuing to offer curbside services if you don't want to come in the building. And we are offering a book librarian service virtually. So if you need help at home more in depth, one-on-one, you can request a session by visiting champaign.org/book-a-librarian. And I'll put that link in the chat too so that you can fill out the form if you need it. And then for the Zoom features, if you notice at the bottom of your Zoom screen, you'll see a little chat bubble. And if you click on that chat bubble, that will let you ask us questions. We also have a little raise hand icon too. That will also let you raise your hand if you wanted to ask a question that way. Sometimes we have people unmute themselves so that if they wanted to speak their question rather than typing it out, that works better for some people. I personally like it too. I really like to have the interaction between everybody. So definitely ask questions if you have them. Don't feel like you're interrupting us. That's what we're here for. Okay, so without further ado, Susan Winkler, our technology librarian, how are you today?
Hi, I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing okay.
And how about you, Gabby?
I'm doing pretty good.
Good, glad to hear it. Okay, well, welcome everybody. We're happy to have you here. Today's discussion is going to be on getting to know your e-library, where we're going to talk about ebooks, audiobooks, and magazines. And we have two services that we're going to cover today. One is Digital Library of Illinois, which we also use the term Libby in there because Libby is the app that goes with Digital Library of Illinois. And then we're going to cover RBdigital, which is our magazine app. So I'm going to go ahead and share our PowerPoint here. Jump in here. Oops. I'm going to go ahead and share from the beginning. Oh, let me jump back here. We went through and practiced already a little bit, so you can ignore that for a second. Okay, so here we are. This is Get to Know Your eLibrary, ebooks, audiobooks, and magazines. And there is my contact information there in case you need to reach out to me. Again, as Rebecca said, we're happy to take questions in the chat. If you're not comfortable with typing, raise your hand. We can unmute you so that you can ask your question verbally. We are here to help, and we love answering questions, and we love sharing information about our resources. So please feel free to reach out to us any way that you'd like. All right, so today we're going to talk about your e-library and that section of our website. And Gabby's going to go ahead and do a demonstration of what the e-library page looks like and how to navigate around in it. And then for Digital Library of Illinois, we'll talk about the sign-in process. Gabby will also show us how to sign in. Then we're going to talk about searching and browsing for books, so how to find the stuff that you're looking for. And then we'll talk about what details about the books you can find. And then we'll check out a book, and we'll talk about how to read it in the browser on your computer. And then we'll go into the My Account section, and we'll talk about how to change some of your settings and kind of customize your experience. And then for RBdigital, which is the magazine app, we'll talk about how to create an account, how to explore and search for magazines, how to check out a magazine, and then how to read that magazine in the browser on your computer. And then we'll go into the My Account section and again, learn how to customize or what things we can change in our account. So today we're covering everything on a computer at the start because it's a little bit easier to demo and show everything through Zoom on the computer first to kind of give you an idea of the layout and where you can find things. And then if anybody's interested and you want a a demo of the app, we can cover that at the end of the workshop if we have a little bit of time left. The nice thing about us being in the library building is we do have our document camera, which means that we can do a live demo with the app as well. But it's a little easier to do from the computer side first, and then do that second if people are interested. Okay, so we'll go ahead and let Gabby take over. And Gabby's going to talk about our e-library section on the website, basically how to get to these resources.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm going to be talking about the e-library. So our e-library resources are located at champaign.org/e-library. You can get ebooks by collection, you can look at ebooks by collection, ebooks by device, and those are gateways to digital books, magazines, movies, and music. And there's also online tools, so resources for online learning and for different research purposes. So ebooks by collection, you're just going to go hit the ebooks by collection tab in the e-library section, and then it'll show you the categories, so you can choose what kind of service you want. So if you want an audiobook, ebook, so you select that, and then it'll have you choose what device you're going to be using it on. So then you also select that, and once you click the device, it will show up what services are available for the device and category. So here you can see in the example image, it says RBdigital magazines. If you click RBdigital magazines on the top, it will take you to a page that tells you more about that service. And if you click Use RBdigital, it will then take you to the page to use the service directly. And then ebooks by device, it's kind of the same concept, just backwards. So you're going to pick your device on the left side menu. So you're going to say what you have. So if you say Android, iPhone, iPad, and then you're going to choose what kind of service you want. So audiobook, magazine, movie. And then you're going to, once you pick the kind of item that you want, then you're going to say it's going to show you what's available for what you selected. And so then you'd again just click on the name of the service to learn more about it, and then if you want to use it, just click Use. So here you'd click Use Digital Library of Illinois, and it will take you to the page. So more about Digital Library and RBdigital. They're available to Champaign card holders, and if you're from another library, you should check their library to see what services are available to you. They're free to use, there's no overdue fees, and they do require internet initially to access, so you should use it on your browser or through the app just to download the application and then download the books that you want. And then it will also require you to know your library card number and PIN number. And then you also might need to know your device account name and password just to download the app or get it to get a book to download onto your device. And so does anybody have any questions about that?
I don't see any questions so far.
Okay. I'm going to share my screen and just take you kind of through what I just explained, just to show you a live demo of what it looks like. So here you can see that I'm on the e-library page. So I'm going to go through online tools first. Our online tools are a bunch of different things. So you can see we have Ancestry Library, Bookflix, lots of different things. You can click by category over here and it will show you the different services that are available for each category. And then if we go to ebooks by collection, it will show you kind of what I explained before. You have your categories. So I'm going to click on magazine for Kindle Fire, and that is the RBdigital. So if you click this RBdigital link, it will take you to this page, which is an explanation of the basics, how it works with your device, product instructions, help, and then it shows you how to ask us for any other assistance that you might need. And then if you click here, Use RBdigital, it will take you to the main page of the service. Okay, and then if we go to ebooks by device, it is pretty much the same thing. I'll click iPhone and then go to ebooks. And so you can see we have Digital Library of Illinois and others that we can choose from. Again, just click on here if you want to know more about the service. And then click here to use or on the other page, and it just shows you more information. Are there any more questions about that?
I think we're good.
Okay. So next I'm going to talk a little bit more about Digital Library of Illinois specifically. So it has ebooks, audiobooks, and most items can be checked out for 7, 14, or 21 days. You can recheck out an item if nobody else is holding it, and you can research items in your browser, on the app, and on the Champaign Public Library catalog. And then you can typically check out titles 5 at a time, and you can have 7 items on hold in your library. So to sign in, you just go to champaign.org/digital-library-of-Illinois, and then you click on Use Digital Library of Illinois, and it will take you to the main website. And then in the upper right corner, you can click on the Sign In button. And then once you hit sign in, it's going to ask you to enter your library. So there's a list of names you can scroll through, and you can also type in your library name and just select it. And then you just need to type in your card number and your PIN to log into your digital library. Any questions about that? I'm also going to demo this just to be more clear.
I don't see any questions so far.
Okay, so let me open this up. And so here we can see it says Use Digital Library of Illinois. So I'm going to click on that. And then I'm already logged in. Let me sign out so I can show you. Sorry about that. And then, okay, now let's hit sign in. I've already selected Champaign Public Library, but if you don't, this is what it looks like. You can just scroll through. And then number is 2. And then put in my PIN. And then there we go. We're signed in. So did anybody have any more questions about that or anything else?
I think we're good. I'll say there was a question about browsers. The question was just, are there some browsers that are better than others? And I sort of answered that I would say no, there's probably not a better browser than another browser. We use 3 different browsers at the library. So we use Google Chrome, Firefox, and Microsoft Edge. And personally, I don't think I've ever had a problem using any of those browsers with any of our e-resources.
Yeah, I haven't had any problem with any of them. I've also used, Safari on a Mac before.
Yes, I've also used that.
Not had any trouble with that either. The nice thing about the service is that it is really what we call a cross-platform and cross-browser service. So it should, in general, work on any of those browsers. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Great. Other questions?
Other than that, no questions so far.
Okay, great. Well, thank you, Gabby. That was very good. Job well done. And I'm going to go ahead and move on to talk about the things you can do once you're actually in the service. Once you get into Digital Library of Illinois and you've signed in, I do recommend signing in first before browsing the collection because it will depend on your home library. So if you have an Urbana card and you sign in for the Urbana Free Library, their collection is slightly different than ours. A lot of stuff is going to be there across both of them, but it's good to log in with your information for your library at the beginning so that then you can see everything that's available to you. So once we get here, to search for the books. If you don't know what you're looking for yet and you just want to search to find some stuff, you can use the magnifying glass up at the very up right here. There's a nice blank space with a little magnifying glass that you can use for searching, and you can search by title, author, or keyword. Pretty much anywhere where you see a magnifying glass and it doesn't have a little plus or minus in it is going to signify searching. So on your mobile devices, on computers in general, if it does have a plus and minus, it usually means zoom in or zoom out, so you can get closer or further away. But any other time you see it and it doesn't have a plus or minus, it's usually for searching. So in this case, what we've done here, our screenshot is a sample search looking for James Patterson books. And so what we did was we just typed into the search, we typed James Patterson. And then once you do that, it actually will give you some examples of what other people have searched for too. That'll pop up. And then you can go ahead and hit enter on the keyboard and it'll go ahead and generate that search for you. And the search results, you can see they're over here on the right-hand side. And then the subjects and collections and stuff, we'll talk about all that in just a moment. And we'll talk about availability and all of these filters here in a second too. But just for a general search, you can just put it right in there and then go ahead and search. So when you search for the books, the left menu filters, which are going to be on the left-hand side, and we'll do a live demo of this in just a moment as well. But the left-hand side will tell you either you can search for everything all at once, or you can search for things that are available now. And what that means is for Digital Library of Illinois, it works just like the physical books on the physical shelves of the library. So if you checked out one copy of a book and there was one copy left on the shelf, someone else could come by and pick up that second copy and check it out. So I like to say it's one copy, one customer. So once you've checked it out, someone else can place a hold on it, just like with the physical items here. So if you wanted to see all titles, that would be everything we have in the collection, no matter if someone else has it checked out or not. So if you see down here underneath James Patterson's Crisscross, it says place a hold. That means that you would put yourself in the holds queue and wait until your hold is ready for you to then check out that book. But you can see over here that Texas Ranger said that it could be borrowed. That means it can be borrowed right away. So available now means that it can be borrowed right away. Okay. Coming soon would be things that are on order that haven't actually come into our collection yet, but you could still place a hold on it for when it does come in, just like with the physical items in the collection. Okay. Audience, you can limit the audience to children's books, or to teen or adult if you want, with the little accordion fold there. The date added is the date it's added to Overdrive / Digital Library of Illinois / Libby. It's the date it's added to the collection here. Okay, so not necessarily the publication date of the book, but when the book was added to the digital content here. Okay, and then you can limit to an ebook or an audiobook. And that's if the ebooks would be the ones that you read. So you'd read on your device or on your computer screen. And audiobooks would be ones that you would listen to with a set of headphones or play out of your computer speakers. You can also limit by subject. So for example, if you had an author that writes both romance and mystery, you could limit by subject to just the mystery ones if you only were interested in the mystery ones. Then you can also sort the results. So once we've gotten our results here, we can also sort them by relevance, which means it takes those keywords that we put in and then it ranks them. Popularity, which is within the global popularity, is popularity across all libraries that have these books. Or you can do it by library, which means locally. And popularity just means how many times was it checked out. It's not actually whether or not people have rated it a certain way. It's just the ones that have checked out the most. So even if someone didn't like the book, since they were intrigued by it and checked it out, that's where that comes from. Okay, you can do release date, and release date would be like the publication date. Title would be A to Z or Z to A. And then the author, so if we were searching a subject and we had more than multiple authors, we could do it by alphabetical, by the author's last name. Okay, and then again, the date added to the collection. So there's some other ways that you can sort your results once you've gotten them. Okay, so then you can also browse for books. So if you didn't have something in mind already, you can use the browsing options that are up along the left-hand side of the Digital Library of Illinois window. So you could search subjects, And down here you can see browsing subjects. So if you are interested in nonfiction and you specifically like art books, you could search specifically to see what we have on the subject of art in our subject area here. Okay.
Susan?
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt. We have
Not
a
at all.
raised hand. I think
Okay.
maybe someone wants to talk.
Sure.
So
Sure,
I will
yeah.
go ahead and allow them to talk.
Perfect.
And then if you'd like, you can go ahead and speak your question.
Okay, I have an Urbana library card. Do I have
Okay.
all the same rights and restrictions that if you had a Champaign card, or is it different?
It's slightly different because it's all based on your home library. So your home library will buy the books in the Overdrive collection. So it might be slightly different than what we have here at Champaign, but a lot of it is very similar because we tend to buy a lot of the same materials. But you would want to use your Urbana Free Library card when you sign in, and then you'll see what they have in their collection. So I haven't noticed a whole lot of difference between the two myself when helping people with it. So they're pretty similar in the collection, but you do want to make sure that you sign in with your Urbana card. The other thing is that sometimes each individual libraries will buy extra copies of something. So it's even better when you're signed in as your home library because they may have extra copies of something too. Okay, great question. Okay, so let's see. So I'm going to go ahead and head back in here to the talking about collections. So for collections, that's going to be your ebook collections here or your audiobook collections. And we do have a couple of videos in there, but it means collections are things like the newest books, the newest kids books, the most popular books, classics. So those are some of these collections that you could possibly go into. If you have a Kindle, and you specifically want Kindle books, the things that can but things that are available specifically for Kindles, you can check Kindle books here. That would be if you have a Kindle Paperwhite or Kindle Touch, and you wanted to specifically use those. And then we have the collections of the kids and teens to kind of narrow those down. Okay, and I'll do a live demo of this in just a minute too. You can also scroll through the curated topical lists that Overdrive and Digital Library of Illinois put together. This screenshot was actually from a couple months ago. And so you can see at that time they had one that was crime classics, and then you could tap see all or on the title and you would get an expanded list of possible crime classics to pick from. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and live demo that. Let's stop that share. And then I'm going to go ahead and jump into, okay, and we'll go into Overdrive. Oops, sorry, I'm going to move this over just a little bit. All right, does everyone see Overdrive, Digital Library of Illinois here?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so the first thing I want to show is that search. So you can see here's the search. I'm hoping you can see my mouse here too and the cursor. So this search here, and we'll tap there. You see it gives us the expanded coordinate out, and we can search James Patterson like that and hit enter. And it's going to take us here and give us all the results for James Patterson books. On the left-hand side, you can see we can pick available now. Then you see all of them are going to say borrow down below, or we could say all titles, and then you're going to see those that also say place a hold here. Audience, again, we have young adult, juvenile, or general adult. So because James Patterson also has a book series for kids, if I tap on juvenile, we'll get all of the ones that are for kids here. Okay. If I tap again, I can do young adult, and then I can also do the general adult books like that. Okay, so it's just a ways to kind of narrow it down. And if you see up here, this is where all of your things that you have chosen for filters will be. So if I don't want any of the juvenile ones, oops, I can just pick, for audience, I can just pick the general adult, and then that'll narrow it down just to the general adult. Okay. If I'm interested in ebooks, I can select specifically ebooks, or if I'm interested in audiobooks, I can specifically select the audiobooks. So let's say MP3 is just one form of audiobook where you can listen to it on a computer or a tablet. So if I pick audiobook, if you see I just picked audiobook there, Now it limits my results to 192, which are James Patterson audiobooks. And you can see down here, there's a little headphone and it says audiobook. Then it's same story. If it's available, I can hit borrow and check it out. If it says place hold, I can put a hold on it. Okay, all right. If I wanted to sort these further, over here on the right-hand side, I could pick to sort by popularity, relevance, release date, title, A to Z. So if you knew a specific title you were looking for, you could actually search even up here for the specific title in with the magnifying glass, or you can arrange these by title and find it that way. So if I was interested in the number series, because the numbers will come before letters, I could just sort them by title and then find the number series first. Okay, the ones that are numbered. Or I can do the date that they were added to the collection. So that's one way to find some that are newer in that respect. Okay, any questions about that? So far, so good? Okay.
So far, so good.
Okay, so that's sorting by the results. Now I'm going to go ahead and head back over here so we get some subjects. So this would be if you're kind of like if you're browsing the shelves here in the library and you go to fiction and then you're looking through the fiction shelves or the nonfiction shelves for something and you don't necessarily have a particular author in mind. So you could search by the subjects, and here again you can break the subject out by the ones that are ebooks or audiobooks, or you can go with either format if you want, and then you could pick from this list. So if I picked, let's go ahead and have a volunteer. If somebody wants to go ahead and put into the chat or raise their hand and decide which subject we should explore here. And it's up for grabs, if anybody's got an idea of what they might like for us to explore. Get some attendee participation.
It's too bad we can't hand out stickers at the end like we
Yes.
used to.
Yes, I have gold star stickers for in person that I hand out for people. So, any suggestions?
Oh, I see a raised hand. Let me unmute.
Okay.
Historical fiction.
All right, good choice. Okay,
Thank you.
let's come up here to historical fiction. So there's something like almost 6,000 titles in historical fiction. So if I click on historical fiction, we'll go ahead and start. So out of those 5,900 results, you probably at that point would want to say, okay, I know authors that I've already read. I know I'm going to want something that I can get today. So I'm going to narrow it down to available now, which takes us, takes out about almost 3,000 titles. Then I can pick, let's say I want to pick something, I want to go by title. And I'll just pick something at the beginning that starts, like if I knew that I wanted a particular area or particular date or time period especially for historical fiction. If I wanted like the early 1900s, I could pick something right here from the early 1900s, or I can further narrow down things by audience. So it's general adult, and we can further, there's also language. So if you wanted, we do have a couple of things in other languages like Spanish. Lexile measure is usually used for children's books, but it's the range of difficulty and vocabulary. So let's see, that was a good search. So, and then, okay, I'll come back over here to collections. So with collections, you could pick most popular or new, or for example, the always available classics. Let's try that real quick. So these are always available classics. So always available means you wouldn't have to place a hold on them. So you can check them out anytime you want. And these would be the always available classics. So if you've got someone who has a book report coming up on something, you might check here to see if it's in these always available classics section too. All righty. Okay, and then I want to show the topical lists. So I'm actually gonna, and then you could, if you are going for kids or teens, you can actually search specifically within the teen collection or the kids collection too. I'm going to go ahead and come back here. So if I tap on the Digital Library of Illinois logo up here at the top, it takes us back to our home page and our home screen landing page. And then I can see up here that there's a list for just added books. And I can hit see all to see all the things that were just added to the collection. Then down here we have some topical lists that we can also browse through. So for example, books that go bump in the night, Nordic noir, literary must-reads, and diverse romance, award-worthy, get the idea. So, and that's this, those are those curated lists. And those are curated by Overdrive staff. So those are not necessarily curated by the Champaign Public Library, but by Digital Library of Illinois and Overdrive staff. Actually, it's really Overdrive staff. Digital Library of Illinois is part of the libraries that we belong to. So, okay, questions about that?
I think we're good so far.
Okay, hopefully it's fairly clear. Okay, I'm going to go back to our historical fiction subject here. And I'm going to go to available now because we want to actually show how to check something out. And then we'll come back to this page in just a moment after we've talked about how to actually check out a book. All right, and so I'm going to jump back into my share. I'll go back to the PowerPoint. Okay. And then I'm going to move on to our next section. So once you've picked a book that you're interested in, each book cover is going to show you some information while you're browsing. It's going to show you whether or not it's available at the top, or it's going to tell you waitlist or place a hold. And that'll tell you you can add yourself to the waitlist or you can check it out. Down below, you're going to get the cover image of the book. You're going to get the title, the author, whether it's an ebook or an audiobook, because remember we said the little headphones means that it's an audiobook. And then at the bottom where it says borrow or place a hold, that's going to be, again, a notice to you that you can either check it out right away or you can put yourself on a wait list. Okay. The other thing you see here, this little bookmark, we're going to talk about that in a few minutes. All right. So about the book section means if you tap on the cover, you're going to get more information about that specific title. So just like if you picked up a physical book from the shelf and you opened it up and you started to read the book jacket perhaps to get the synopsis or the description, that's going to be right in here too when you do it with the digital version as well. You can also listen or read a sample. So if you want to take a chance to see whether or not you like the person's writing style, or you want to see if it grabs your interest or your attention, you can tap on read a sample. If you're ready to check it out, you can select borrow. If you want to add it to the wish list, that's where you can do the little bookmark that we were talking about, and that will add it to a wish list for you. So that's kind of like your to be read list. It shows you the available formats over here. You can see the format. It comes as a Kindle book or as an EPUB, ebook, or Overdrive Read. So what we're going to demonstrate today in the browser is what's known as Overdrive Read. That's the streaming version where you have an active internet connection and then you read the book on the computer. Okay. Subjects and languages are down here as well, and then you get the Lexile information there. Okay. All right. So I'm going to show that. We'll go ahead and check out one of those books. So I'm going to go ahead and share my browser again. Okay, so let's pick, let's pick an ebook and then we'll go back and pick an audiobook too. So I think I'm going to pick, let's see, they all have such interesting covers, and I know we're not supposed to shop for books by their covers, but that is usually the way I am swayed into at least clicking on something. So, oh, I know this one's, I think this one's pretty, I think that one might be kind of popular right now. Let's go ahead and click. I'm intrigued at least. I took a trip to France this summer, so maybe I'm interested in the Black Swan of Paris. So what I'll do is I'll tap on the cover image, and then here's where I get more information about it. The author, title, author, that it's an ebook. There's one copy available of 4. This gives me a little description. So this is like your book jacket here, which gives you the description. Details tells you a little bit more about it. Reviews will tell you if a publisher has looked at it and what the publishers have said about it. If you hit sample, that's going to let you read a sample of the book before you check it out. Okay. And then over here again, we have the different formats you could get it as, fiction, the subjects that it fits into, and the language. So if I say, I'm going to go ahead and jump over here. And when we're ready to borrow the book or check it out, we will tap on borrow. I'm going to give it just a moment here and go over that as well, but I want to check if there's any questions about what you can see here from the cover image right here. So here's that spot. This little guy right here would be this little bookmark with the, it looks a little bit like a flag with a plus. That's where you can add it to your to be read list or your wish list. If I tap here, I can also get the read a sample, view details, and some recommended other titles too, in case you were wondering what those 3 little dots were. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and leave that up. And then are there any questions about searching for books or getting up to this point of being able to check something out?
Sorry, I'm just answering a question right now. I can go ahead and say what the question is too. Someone is asking, for the audiobooks, you said MP3 is one format. Are there any available as CDs? And then I'm just answering that, yes, we do have audiobooks on CD available. If you're looking in our catalog, you can search for them, or you can browse for them at the library if you're in there on the first floor. And some of them will have, like, I don't know, 6 or 7 CDs in it that you can listen to rather than going through digitally. It's just up to you how you enjoy listening to them, really.
Yes, and you know, for a lot of these MP3 audiobooks, if you have an older system, you know, there used to be a way that you could burn them onto a CD and then play them as well. As we've moved more and more toward having mobile devices like phones and tablets where you where you can get them digitally, they've moved further and further away from having them on the physical discs. But we also have something called a playaway here at the library, which is an individual little MP3 player, which has one book on it that you can listen to. And so it just comes, it looks like a little box, and you plug headphones right into the little box, and then you hit the play button and you can listen to the book that way too. So it's like a little individual, and you've got your play button and your forward and backward, and you can skip tracks back and forth. So it's like a CD in that respect because it's still a physical object, but it's not a CD that you would put into a CD player. But we do have plenty of audiobooks on CD downstairs in our first floor here at the library too.
I was going to say, can you show in the catalog how to differentiate between an ebook and a physical item, like an audiobook, physical audiobook?
Yes, I sure can. That's a great idea. Let me jump back in here real quick. I'm going to go back to our ebooks by collection and come up here to catalog. So this is now searching the Champaign Library and Urbana Library. It's searching our catalogs. And so let's see. Well, let's go ahead and go back to Patterson. So we're going to search for James Patterson. And then this is going to bring up everything that we have for James Patterson. But if I search by, I can search by author or title, or I can limit to a certain type of item. So for example, I could limit to searching just for ebooks, books, large print, or audiobooks. And if I do audiobooks all, that would be both e-audiobooks, which are the ones that are digital that you could listen to, or physical audiobooks, which would be those that are on CD. So let's do audiobooks all. Okay. And so if you see this one here, that's this little icon here, you know what, I'm going to try to make my screen, is that bigger for everybody? So you can see it a little better?
Yes.
Okay. So here, this icon here that looks like a book with a disc coming out of it and says CD, that would be an audiobook on CD, meaning that and if we hit find it, it's going to be an adult mystery audiobooks here in the library. So that means it's actually here in the physical library, shelved on our first floor. If we come to the next one down here, this one, let me hit find it, is going to be a playaway. So that one that I was talking about, that's a little MP3 player, still a physical device that you can get, is also going to be on the first floor and checked in. And if you see the little icon for here, the playaways have a little book with headphones over them. And I'm hoping one of these that's near the beginning will be one of our, okay. I'm going to come up here to show you the difference and go ahead and do one of our audio ebooks so you can see what that symbol looks like. So the audio ebooks, if you see here, let me make that bigger again. The audio ebooks are going to have that headphone with the computer screen here. And this symbol here is the symbol for Overdrive. It's the blue square with an O, a white O like that. This means that it's an Overdrive Digital Library of Illinois ebook. So when I hit find it here, this is where it's going to tell me that it's online, which means that it's not in the physical collection, but you can get to it from the Overdrive / Digital Library of Illinois collection. Okay, is that, hoping that helps make that distinction a little bit. And we'll come back to this catalog and how to search for stuff through our catalog for it in a few moments too. So, good.
I think that probably answers the question. I don't have any follow-up.
Okay, perfect. All right. So we're going to go ahead and check out that historical fiction book here in just a second. Before we actually check it out, I'm going to mention what the process is like. So to check something out, you're going to tap on borrow. You can either do that from that front cover image page, or you can go into the book's information about the book and then click borrow. You can choose how many days you're checking it out for. So you can pick 14, 7, or 21. You can also in your settings pick a default for that, and I'll show you that in a minute too. Then you just tap on borrow, and then you click your preferred method for reading the book. So today, our preferred method for reading the book is going to be read now in browser. But if you have your app, you can say download the book to the app. Or if you have a Kindle, you can read it with your Kindle. Okay. Okay. Then we're going to go into Overdrive Read. Again, that's reading in the browser on the computer. So that means we're basically on an active internet connection and we're going to read the book. If you see here, you'll have some controls when we get to that point. You can do a 1-page display or a 2-page display. Again, here's a magnifying glass, which means search. That allows you to search within the book for certain criteria like words or quotes or whatever you want. This right here is to bookmark a certain passage or page. So if there's something some really eloquent passage in the book that you want to show someone else, you can actually bookmark it so that you can find it again later and show it to them. Okay? And then you have a menu over here with reading options, which allows you to change things like having white text on a black background or vice versa, or a sepia tone. You can make the text bigger, and I'll show you that in the demo here in a second. Then you also have a progress bar down along the bottom, which shows you how far along you are in the book. Okay. All right. So within that Overdrive Read menu options over here, these are your menu options. So like I said, you can then come back in and you have your table of contents essentially, or your chapters that you can go through and jump from chapter to chapter. You can make your bookmarks and then find them again. Your reading settings are going to be those things like sepia or making the text bigger. And then offline access would be if you're wanting to read it, but you don't have an active internet connection on your computer, then you could do offline access. Okay. Questions about that? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do the live demo of that for us. And then we can go back and play with that more. So I'm going to jump back to Black Swan of Paris here. And we're going to go ahead and say borrow. And we're going to borrow it. Here's where you can pick 7, 21, or 14 days. Our default is 14, but I'm going to say we'll borrow it for 21 days. Something else to note about these, once you check it out, if you finish it early, you can go ahead and check it back in and then check something else out. So it's 5 items at a time normally, but once you return something, you can check out something new. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and say borrow. Okay, and now we get this and we can, and right now we actually have an increased amount of titles that you can check out at a time. Right now it's actually 10 titles. Okay, now I'm going to say read now in browser because I'm here on a computer. So I'm going to hit read now in the browser. Okay, and then here's that browser screen that comes up here at the top. I'm going to go ahead and advance 1 page. So to advance pages, you just tap there. Sorry, my mouse is having fun with the little hand there. Getting a little, okay, I'm going to move it up there for a second. So To go between pages or back pages, you just click on either side, and that'll take you forward or back. If you want to do one page instead of two, you can tap on this first button here, and you see that puts it as one page in the middle, or two pages like this. So if I go to one that has text on both pages, you go just a little bit further ahead here. So we'll go to, say, this page here, which has 2 pages of text. If I want one page, tap there, and I get one page. Okay. If I want to search for for something within this book, I could perhaps search for, that looks like the character's name, so just Dumont there, and then get all the pages where that name appears. Okay, go back here. Then on the side here, those 3 little lines, that's your menu, which gives you options to navigate through the chapters. And if you hit the little back arrow, you can come back here. You can pick your, if you've put a bookmark, you'll see it here. So let's go ahead and say this in the middle. We're gonna, let's see. Go ahead, yeah. I'm gonna put a bookmark. So if I tap there, this has now bookmarked that page. So when I come back here and I look for bookmarks, chapter 1, page 24, that's our first bookmark. So that would take us back to this spot here. Okay. Reading settings. Again, here's where you can change your text size. Hopefully this will move the text size up and you guys can see that as well, that it's making it bigger. And you have sepia or dark, like I said, where it switches it. Sepia. I tend to like sepia or dark. Okay. And then you have the chance to do different text. So different fonts, if something's easier, to make it easier to read. Okay. All right. That's the reading settings. Okay. Questions? Any questions so far on that within our demo?
Not so far.
Okay. Down below, if I tap down here, you'll see here's the progress bar going across. This also tells me that I'm in chapter 1. I'm at 2%. If I sync means if I have checked this book out and I have it on both my iPhone and I have it on my iPad. And let's say I was reading on my iPhone, but then I was like, man, the screen is too small. My eyes are getting tired. I need to jump up to a bigger screen. And I start reading it on the iPad. Those 2 devices will understand that you've gotten further in the book on one. So if you go back to the phone again, let's say you forgot your iPad and now you're on your phone again reading, it'll ask you if you want to sync to the furthest location that you've read, which is really nice because then you can switch devices and it'll know exactly where you were. So it basically holds your place as if it were a bookmark. Okay? And that's what this means here. So if you hit sync, it'll go back to, okay, maybe you were on your iPad and it'll say, okay, you were further along on a different device. Do you want me to jump you to that spot? And you would just say, yes. Okay. All right. So if I wanted to navigate further ahead, I can either, drag my progress bar here to go further ahead like this, or I can go back and jump chapter to chapter. Okay. All right. Any questions about reading in the browser?
Not so far.
Okay. Well, I do want to go ahead and what I'm going to do up here at the top, if you see when I'm ready, since it's just open in a browser window here, when I'm ready to go back or stop reading, all I have to do is just hit this little X here, and that'll take me out of it. Okay, and then I'm back where I was. And I'll go ahead and X out of that. So now, since we've checked this one out, we can now go to our loans to see it in our system. And I'm going to go ahead and show you more information about that by jumping back to the PowerPoint here real quick. Okay, so give me just a moment. I'm going to stop sharing that one. And we'll jump back to the PowerPoint. Okay, so if you do have questions, feel free to stop me at any point. I'm going to go ahead and talk about the My Account section now, which is where you can kind of customize your settings and you can see what you have checked out and what you're waiting for. Okay, so the My Account section is up in the top right corner, and it shows you your loans, which is things that you have checked out, and it also tells you when they're due back. It shows you your holds, so anything that you've put a hold on. Your wish list, again, that's where you've hit that little flag with the plus sign. then any titles that you've rated, so if you've given it a 1 to 5 star rating, they'll be in there. Recommendations for you based on things you've checked out, and then your settings. Your settings is where you can change that 7, 14, or 21 day for the default. Okay, all right. Under the loans and holds section, you can see the date that it'll return. So here, for example, this one says it'll expire in 14 days under Wonder down here. Oops, sorry, need to go that far ahead yet. Okay, and then on the hold section, you'll see when you've placed the hold and where you are in line too. You can determine if you want to download them, and you can return an item early. So when you're done with it, you can hit return, and then it'll return back into the system if you finished it early or you decided that you don't like the book. Okay, and then you can do everything you want with holds. So you can suspend your hold if you're going on vacation and you're not going to be around to pick up the book. You could do that. However, since they're digital books, if you're on vacation and you have internet access wherever you're going, you could try to pick up your hold while you're on vacation. Okay, and here's again the setting where you can change how many days, your content preference. If you only ever want to see things for kids, you can select your audience content preference here, and then you can get your high contrast display. If you always want it to be shown in high contrast, you can do that there too. Okay, so let's go ahead and explore that real quick as long as we're here. Okay, so again, we're going to go into this My Account section up here on the right-hand side. We'll first look at our loans. Okay, so here's the one we just checked out. And you can see it there, and you can say it says it's expiring in 21 days. If I hit the little three rings, again, I can read the sample or view details, and I can read it now in browser, or I can download it, and then here's the button where it says I can return it. So if I want to return this right now, I can hit return, and then it will clearly tell you, do you really want to, or clearly ask you, do you really want to return this title? So it gives you an extra fighting chance just in case you accidentally click on that, which I appreciate because I often accidentally click on things as I move too fast. Okay, if we come over here to the left-hand side, we can also tap on holds and see what we have on hold. Okay, so we're still waiting for Pokey, sweet little puppy. And we are next in line for the copy though. Here you could suspend your hold again or remove it if you want to cancel the hold, and you can edit the email that the hold notification would come to. Okay, wish list, those things that you've got on your to be read list. Rated titles, I don't know if we've rated anything. I don't think we've rated any titles yet, but if you did, this is where you would see rated titles. Recommendations for you specifically would come from those ratings that you've done, and you can set those. And then here in settings is where you can set those defaults. Okay, all right. Any questions about that? Okay.
I think we're good so far.
Great, so I do want to show you back here at that switch over, it did, didn't it? Okay, good. I do want to show you how it looks when you're looking for these books. I'm going to go ahead and put no limits on this for how you can tell them in the catalog. Again, here's that Overdrive symbol and the headphones with the computer. So this means that this is you can also see it pop up here too, I think, if I put it on the right spot, that it's an e-audiobook. Okay, find it online. Okay, there's also this one here. This is an ebook, so it looks a little bit like a little book with a keyboard underneath it. So that one is what you see if it's an ebook. Okay, and again, that one's also going to say that it's available online. So if you wanted to, you could check these out. If you're browsing the regular library catalog and you see one of these, you can, if it says check out, log in and check it out from here. But you still have to tell it where to go. So you still have to tell it, I want you to go into my browser, or I want you to go to my app on my iPhone or my Android device. Okay, so if there's questions about that, this just gives you another chance to see what's in the collection. Okay. All right, good. Okay.
Yeah, I don't see any other questions.
Okay, great. All right, well then I'm gonna go ahead and head back and we'll cover RBdigital. me pull up my, there it is. I'll stop sharing that. And we'll jump back here. We'll talk a little bit about RBdigital. So here's an example of, you can check it out or place the request right from the Champaign library catalog. Okay, all right. So RBdigital magazines, they're popular magazine titles. There's no due date, so you don't have to return them at any specific time. They don't expire at any point. There's no limit for the number of items you can check out at a time. So you can have a whole bunch of magazines, including the entire back issues of certain magazine runs that we have. And we have the back issues all the way back to when we started the service. And you can check out and read using the website or an app. And you can check out both the current and the back issues. All right. So to create your account, you can go to champaign.org/RBdigital-magazines. You click on Use RBdigital Magazines, and then click on Register and fill in the required information. So it's going to ask you to come up with a username and a password, and then you're going to put in your library card information and confirm your email and your zip code, and then click Register, and that'll get you started. And I do recommend doing that on a computer if you can, because the bigger screen of the computer will help. If you eventually want the app on your devices, it's a little easier to do it on a computer where you can see full screen and see what you're typing a little bit more easily. But again, that's up to you. Okay. Questions about creating an account for RBdigital? And I'll show you this. Okay, I'll show you this in just a second when I demo the next section, because I know we're getting close to time here too. And I want to make sure everybody gets to see this. So once you log in, you have the option to explore the magazines, and you can explore by the different categories where you can filter by the genre. So like outdoor, photography, food, whatever you want for the genre. And then you can also, once you get the results from those searches, you can sort by the relevance or the titles from A to Z or Z to A. You can search for titles, again, using a magnifying glass. You can search by keyword, like photography or photo, or you can do an advanced search where you can add the language in there. And we do have a lot of stuff in other languages in RBdigital, which is really neat. So if anybody's learning another language and they want to test out their skills, I know sometimes magazines can be nice because they're shorter articles that you can try to read in another language. Okay, so let me go ahead and, we'll get to that in just a second. So I'm going to go ahead and my screen here. Okay, we'll close out of the catalog. I'm going to go ahead and sign out of RBdigital before I jump out of it. And we'll come to RBdigital. Okay, so here's the main landing page for RBdigital when you first jump into it. And you'll see up at the top where it says sign out. That's how I know that I'm signed in right now. And I can explore the magazines here. I'm going to move this down 1 second. Down here. Okay, so you'll see you can also explore by advancing through the list here, just by advancing page by page, but they're not really sorted. So you can see that, because this one has parentheses, it's coming before some of the numbers, everything else. Now there are also ebooks in here too. So it's not just magazines in the collection anymore. There's also some ebooks in here too. If I want to filter by genre, so does somebody want to pick one of these genres for us? You got education, cycling, outdoors, lifestyle, home and garden. Just here, I'll make it a little smaller, but can anybody read those? Are they too small for people to read? Let me make it a little bigger. So if you want to pick one of these subject areas for us, and just go ahead and type it in the chat, and we'll pick that one to explore. Anybody?
I don't see, oh, I see one, children.
Okay, let's see. All right, so we can come up here to children. We'll go ahead and click on that. And then that's going to filter to just the magazines that we have for kids. So for example, Highlights, which was very popular when I was a kid too. So Highlights is in here. There's some Disney stuff. There's also some stuff in other languages. And then National Geographic Kids is in here too. Raspberry Pi. So these are also some books where you can, like Raspberry Pi for Kids, books, things like that. Okay. Okay, and American Girl magazine. Now, for some of these, we have back issues and current issues, and for some of them, we just have back issues. A lot of times, if we have back issues and not a current issue, it's because the magazine may have stopped publication. So you might see that as well. I'm going to come back over here. So let's do it by title. So start with American. So we sorted title A to Z here to explore our magazines. There. Okay. So then, after we've signed in and we've explored and we've sorted and done our filters, then we can also search. So let me come up here to the top, and up here at this magnifying glass, it's at the very top of our page. If I tap on there, then I can enter a keyword and search for that specifically. Anybody got an idea of what they would like to search? I'm feeling kind of like gardening, even though it's getting colder. Like, I didn't do a lot of gardening over the summer, so now I feel like garden. So if I search for garden, I'll get some of our books that are gardening books, and then also some of the magazines that deal with gardening. So, for example, Better Homes and Gardens, House and Garden, Country Gardens, or Food Gardening. When I'm ready to check something out, all I have to do is tap on that magazine cover image. Let's go with like organic gardening here. Okay, so organic gardening, all I have to do is tap on the cover image, and then it's going to take me to the page where all I would really have to do is hit checkout, and then it's going to check out that magazine for me. Okay, down here I have the description, details, and then all issues will show me all of those back issues for that magazine that we have. I can hit view all, and it's going to show me all of them, or I can collapse it down to just see the current one. Okay, so I'm going to come back to that current one again here, and then I can tap checkout, and it's going to check out the organic gardening magazine for me. Now, if you see this thing here where it says automatically check out next issue, if I want, I can click on this and I'll get an email notification for the next time an issue comes out. So if there's an issue that comes out in November, it'll send me an email and let me know that the November issue is available for me to check out. Okay, so I can either keep browsing, or I can read now, or I can just hit automatically check out next issue, and I'm gonna say keep browsing, so it'll take me wherever. But now you see that this has changed to read. So if I tap read, I can immediately go in and read this in the browser. I'm going to X out of that for a second and show you the other way you can get to that in just a minute. Okay, I'm going to go back. All right, we'll go back one more time. So to check out, so that's how you would check out one of the magazines. Okay, questions about that? Any questions? No?
I think we're okay so far.
Okay, perfect. So I know we're at about time. If anybody needs to go, that's fine. We try to keep these to around an hour or so, even though we plan an hour and a half total to give time for questions. So if anybody needs to leave, that's totally fine. Since we are recording this, we will be putting it up on our, I believe it'll be up on our YouTube channel before too long. So if you want to catch up on parts that you've missed or practice, you certainly can. Right now, I'm going to go ahead and jump up here to these three little lines up in the top left-hand corner. This is our navigation to get to various places for us. So my account, the things that I have checked out. So if I click on checked out, we're going to see the most recent thing that I checked out, that organic gardening magazine, is going to be right here. Then if I tap read, I can read it in the browser right here. Okay, to advance pages, all I have to do, again, tap in the middle, and then it'll move forward and navigate me through the magazine this way. Okay, that looks a little garbly-gooky. Interesting. So like that. And down here at the bottom, do you see the little progress bar down here? That'll advance you through the magazine as you go through. Now, if you see here, remember I said that if you see a magnifying glass with a plus sign or a minus sign, it actually means zoom in or zoom out. So here it means zoom in and zoom out. If you want full screen, that's what this little icon looks like that has the four little brackets around it. That's full screen, which would take out the top browser stuff up here. Okay. Now here, unlike in Digital Library where most of the navigation is on the right-hand side up here, for RBdigital, it's over here on the left-hand side. Again, though, you can bookmark a page. So if you had a food, you know, like a magazine with a bunch of recipes, you could bookmark certain recipes that you could then find easily again. Up here at the top, if I tap on this, should be my navigation. So this will allow you to navigate through different pages like this. So you could jump from article to article. Articles will give you specific articles and where they start. So you can see them by title there. You can also print. So if you, again, if you saw a recipe that you wanted, you could print it like that. Okay. Any questions about that? So you can tap there to get back and forth.
No questions so far.
Okay. The other thing I wanted to point out, all of the hyperlinks, they are active. So if I was to tap on this hyperlink here, which basically means it's a website link, it's actually going to take me to that website. So I like to say when I teach this that, you know, if you see a pair of boots that are advertised in a you know, an advert in a magazine and you tap on it, it'll take you right to where you could buy the boots. Or for kitchen supplies, if you see pots and pans that are really interesting, you could just find out more about them. So it's contents. To read, you know, and again, you can zoom in as close as you want to read, and then you can navigate by holding down the mouse button to navigate through the articles like that. Okay. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and X out of that and take us back to the My Titles page. We'll talk real quick about My Account. So your My Account gets you to your wish list. Anything you have, so holds would be if you actually had RBdigital books and would have holds on them. We don't need to really worry about that. It does show your history, so the things that you've checked out and when. And then most importantly, back My Account, if you need to change anything, your settings here, that's where you could change the email address associated with your account, or if you got a new library card, you could change the barcode and do all of that. Okay. Okay, and that's really all there is to that. To see what you have checked out, again, just tap the three little lines up here and then checked out, and it'll show you all the magazines that you've checked out. All you have to do is hit this view all here to see them all spread out like that, okay? So the biggest thing you run into, which I have myself personally run into, is running out of space on my device because I downloaded so many magazines and read them. So you can also delete them and delete them off of your device. And to delete them, all you have to do is hit this little X up here in the corner. If everybody can see that, I'm trying to circle it here. You can just hit that little X and then say, okay, I want to return that item. And then that'll return it and take it off of your device. Okay. All right. So that's everything I have today on RBdigital and Digital Library of Illinois. I want to share one more slide real quick and then we'll open it up for questions. So I want to share the question slide here. And again, also if you want the PowerPoint, we can also send you this PowerPoint that gives you all of the step-by-step instructions and step-by-step directions for what we've done today. If you want that, just let either myself or Rebecca know. You can send us an email if you want. And then Rebecca, if you'll go ahead and put our emails in the chat, we can send this to you too. Now. Perfect, thank you. So anyway, that's what we just covered, reading in the browser experience, and then the My Account section where you can see your history, what you have on hold, and then returning a previously checked out magazine. And then here's what I want to show you too. Next week, for those of you here today, next week we're going to cover movies, music, and more, which is also through our digital services. That's through Hoopla and Canopy. And those are also really amazing services that we have where you can get some really cool stuff. There's comic books and also ebooks and audiobooks in Hoopla. but they're also really great services, and I grouped them together because they work in a similar way. So I do encourage you to come for next week. If you haven't registered for that, it's very easy to do. You just register on champaign.org/events, which Rebecca can put in the chat as well. And then we also have Intro to Pinterest and Intro to Facebook. And you don't have to have Pinterest or Facebook already. We're going to do a live demo, and then you can see. So the idea is to give you a chance to kind of explore it without having to sign up for it first. So we'll demo it live, and then you can see how different things work, how it's set up, what the layout looks like. If you already have a Facebook account and Pinterest account, that's totally okay. You're welcome to come to those classes too, and ask your questions, and we'll hopefully be able to help you find answers. So, okay, and then here's again is my contact information. Feel free to contact me anytime and ask questions about our resources or other technology questions. If we don't have the answers, we'll try to find folks who do and send you in to those resources. And then the last one, again, we have book a librarian appointments. So if you'd like one-on-one help with going over how to do any of these processes today or anything else that we cover in the tech workshops, we're happy to do that. Right now we are hosting those. We can do 10 minutes in person, or we can host it virtually like this through Zoom and walk you through and share our screen to kind of walk you through things. We also do have a live chat option for when the library is open. And you can also reach us via email at librarian@champaign.org. Okay, all right. So I'm gonna go ahead and open it up for questions right here. And then if anybody wants to, we can speak questions out loud, or if you want me to do a demo on the iPad of Libby, which is the Overdrive Digital Library of Illinois app, or RBdigital, I can do that too.
We have a raised hand, so I will go ahead and allow that person to talk.
Sure.
Let's see, just waiting on her to unmute.
Sure. Yeah, generally there's a little thing that says that they've asked to unmute you, so.
There we go. Go ahead with your question when you're ready.
At a previous lesson that we've had, I downloaded the RB app
Okay.
to my iPad. And then I went to the magazine, The New Yorker, and that's the one magazine I've been getting. And every Tuesday I get one. And it worked great for like 6 months. And now,
Yay.
but now, every time it wants me to sign in.
Ah, okay. Yes, I can share ours and we can see if we need you to sign in again. So I'm gonna go ahead and share my other camera here, which is going to be our document camera. And we'll jump in here and I'll show you where you can sign in and out of RBdigital. So here, so RBdigital app looks like this.
Yes, I have that.
Let me make it go the right direction here. And to sign in and out, up here where it says log out down here, just check and make sure, here, let me make the brightness a little darker here so you can see that a little better. So when you go in your app, double check and make sure that if log out has been hit, or if you can actually see your magazines that you've checked out in the checked out section.
Yes, I've been trying to delete them as you're talking,
Okay.
but now it's kind of frozen.
Okay, you might have to jump out and jump back in. So if you use your home button over here on the left, for me on the left-hand side, but your home button, and tap twice to get your task manager to come up. Sorry. Get your task manager come up like that, and then swipe up to close out of the app, and then try to jump back into it. So
that's if you're on an iPad. If you're on an Android device, you have to do a task manager button.
I'm on an iPad, but it's still frozen on the page that has all the copies of the New Yorker.
Okay. So if you tap up on the top, on the three little lines up at the top,
Yes.
Does this come up?
Nothing.
Nothing. Okay.
But I've done
Can you double tap your home button and see what happens?
Yeah, so this little button here,
Yeah, okay, I
go
did
ahead
that.
and hit it twice, like tap, tap.
I did.
Do you get this? Where it looks kind of like this?
Yes.
Okay, and then go ahead and take your finger and swipe it up like that.
And then you should be able to open the app again.
Mm-hmm. Did it go away and bring back the screen for you?
I have a screen
Like this?
like that.
Okay, perfect. Then go ahead and tap on RBdigital again. Like that.
And it's still doing the same job.
Okay. Okay. So it's still rotating?
Yes.
Okay. What I might suggest you do is actually uninstall the app and then reinstall it. And to do that, what you can do, go ahead and do your tap tap again and swipe it up. And then if you press on RBdigital, so just hold down your finger on it until it starts to kind of wiggle. And then you're going to get a couple of different options. And when you see it wiggle like that, you're going to hit that little X. Now we're going to uninstall. Okay. And then what you're going to do once you've uninstalled it is you'll go into your app store and then reinstall it. And we'll see if that'll help basically clear the memory of the device.
Okay, it's shaking, but there's no X.
Okay. Should have an X in the top in the left-hand corner.
I know there's other ones that have an X, other apps,
Okay. But not RBdigital?
not RBdigital.
Okay.
I would say maybe she just needs to turn her device all the way off and then turn it back on again.
Or there may be an update for RBdigital too. So if you go into your app store, let's check for an update. App store, which looks like the little popsicle stick. I think it kind of looks like a picnic bench, but it's little popsicle sticks up here that make an A. That's your app store. And if you go in there and come down to where it says apps, down here at the bottom, the third one in, it's going to give you all your apps. And then what you might need to do is update your app. It should tell you if you need to update it. Should be able to see them in there. So, actually, wait. The easier way is to go through settings, isn't it? Yeah.
Settings.
Okay. Yeah, so we're going to go to settings.
Okay.
I feel like it's about the same, actually.
And then come down to apps, which is one of your main ones in here. I just got to find it. Did I skip it already? Did I miss it? Where are you?
Should I come down to the RBdigital app?
Yeah, yep. And then check and see if it says update or update available. So like for me, I would come down here to RBdigital and then let's see. Yeah, it doesn't look like there's no update for me. Okay.
It wouldn't be in there. It would be in the App Store. That's how you update apps.
Yeah, so
I
just search for, yeah, and then just search for it. Because I thought if you did apps, you can get your app list, but that's actually on Android. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go in and search. So I'm gonna say cancel. Okay, so let me come back to, so here's our home page on the App Store. And then down in the
it does need an update.
Okay, so go ahead and tap on update and we'll see if updating it'll clear that problem out for you. So for those of you still watching here, search down here at the bottom right corner. You're gonna tap search and then we're gonna search for our app. We know what it's called. We know it's RBdigital. You see that's that first one there. We're gonna tap on that. And then here, oh, ours has it too. Haha, update. So if you see where it says update, that means that the app has an update. So sometimes if your apps are not working the best, like they're a little wonky or they're taking a really long time to do something, or they say, oh, we can't do this anymore, you want to go in and check and see if it needs an update. And then tap update and then let it update. So, and hopefully that will help make that a little easier. But Rebecca's right. If that does not work, then I would suggest the same thing that she just suggested too, which is to go ahead and shut your iPad all the way off and then turn it back on and try to get back into the app. But I would do that update first and then try to do that.
All right, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. And if that doesn't work, again, feel free reach out to us, and we'll try to troubleshoot with you too. We can do that over the phone or like this with Zoom too.
What about if an app has a minus sign above it instead of an X?
A minus sign in both? Are you talking about on the home screen here?
Yeah, I'm looking at the home screen and I'm trying to delete. Okay, now it's all right.
Okay.
Now I can delete this. Okay, great.
Okay.
But some of the other ones like settings and
Mhm.
store has a minus sign above it.
Yeah, so there are some apps that are integral to the functioning of your device. Settings, App Store, those are all things that we call them, or at least I call them, native apps. And those are ones that you don't want to necessarily delete, or you might not be able to, because it helps with the functions of your device. So
It won't actually let you delete the settings. It might let you take it off your home screen, but it will not be deleted from
You're
your
right,
phone.
right.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's because, if you didn't have your settings, you couldn't change things. Like you couldn't make your screen brighter. You wouldn't be able to look at your apps. You wouldn't be able to find, and change and customize stuff. So, but things like, what's another one, like calendar or clock, those, you may not be able to delete those, but you can, as Rebecca says, you can move them off your homepage if you want, if you don't want to look at them and see them there.
I believe ours has the X on it just because it's not the most updated operating system. So
let's see if I can do.
Because Apple just had their new release for their operating.
Oh, right, the
new
14,
operating.
yeah,
iOS 14. So it might look slightly different.
Yeah, that's true. I forgot about that part. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely. We're happy to help. Are there any other questions about either RBdigital or Digital Library of Illinois, or anything about our digital services here at the library? Anything else?
I don't see any more questions or any more raised hands.
I'll switch this back to me. All right. Okay, well, we are pretty much at time for our questions and answer portion and presentation. So if nobody else has any questions right now, we'll go ahead and say goodbye for the day. But again, if you have questions, please reach out. Again, you can reach us by email, by chat, you can book a librarian, and we're happy to help with other tech questions or questions related to the services that we have here in the library.
Okay, thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone, for coming today. And again, if you want the PowerPoints, let us know. The video, or if you want the link for the video, let us know if you want the link for the video too. Okay, bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.